Michael Green, one of the guys who's been talked about the most with this Masters is, funnily enough, one of the guys who's not going to be playing. Tiger Woods out of the tournament. Whether you like him or not, any major tournament is diminished when he's not there.
Yeah, for someone that's not playing, there's certainly a lot spoken about him. And yeah, and it's not as good when he's not there. That's true. I mean, he's the big name in golf, right? And but you know, it opens the door a little bit, I think, for the two favourites of Adam Scott and Rory McIlroy. And you know, maybe a few of these guys will have a little bit more confidence if Tiger's not coming down the stretch. I don't know, dropping golf balls in the wrong spot.
Well, especially at Augusta, Bruce. Horses for courses course, as we said. He hasn't won it since 2005. He hasn't been virtually out of it at any time since 2005 either. He's had a chance to win just about every year.
Yeah.
Well, that's the amazing thing about Tiger Woods. Even when he hasn't been winning at Augusta National or in majors generally, he's contending, more especially at Augusta. There's no doubt about that. And he and Phil Mickelson collectively have got the best records of anybody over the last 20 to 30 years at that event. Mickelson having won it 3 times and been just such a regular top tenner, and Woods with his 4 victories and regularly inside the top 5, top 10. It's been quite a phenomenal run from him, and it'll be sad not to see him there this year, despite whatever people might think of Tiger Woods. There's no doubt about the fact that he really lights up a golf course and lights up a tournament when he's part of it.
Yep, and as we say, especially at Augusta National, such a special place for him. Who else, gents? Who do you look at, Bruce, going in? I think it's probably the first time in a long time we've had a clear favourite for Augusta National, or for the Masters, I would think. Who do you look to? Adam Scott's obviously in the conversation. Who else? Greenie mentioned Rory McIlroy.
Oh, I think Rory McIlroy coming off the back of that 65 in Houston and some pretty good finishes generally at Augusta National. We know that he imploded over the final night in 2011 before just 2 months later winning the first of his major championships by 8 shots at Congressional. He is something quite special. He's been playing pretty darn well this season overall. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's very much in the mix. I think Matt Kuchar, despite the fact that he's thrown away a couple of tournaments in recent times, he's played reasonably well at Augusta National, and he's one of the most consistent performers in the game. And speaking of consistent performers, I think Sergio Garcia is not far away from putting that first major championship. You know, when you look at his record over the last 18 months or so, it's been quite phenomenal. I don't think he's missed a cut since the PGA Championship more than 18 months ago. And he put together a very nice tournament in Houston last week. And then if I was looking outside of the more favoured players, might be the likes of the Charles Schwartzel, a previous winner who played quite nicely in Houston. And I think Jason Duffner's been sneaking along under the radar a bit, playing generally pretty well this season. And in the few appearances that he's had at Augusta National, he's played pretty darn well, Rod. So those are some of the players that I'll be keeping an eye on over the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, I'm sure we agree about Rory, Greenie. Any others that you'd throw in there that we should be looking at that maybe we haven't been talking about? A lot of talk about Tiger not playing. Who should we be talking about who is playing?
Well, I mean, you'd just be silly not to consider that Fred Couples is going to be around there. He's just
perennial one-round leader, isn't he?
Yeah, he's always there, and he was always there last year. And I think he sort of averages under par for 120 odd rounds there or whatever at Augusta. It's crazy. And in the last 4 years, he's finished top 20 or something like that each
the
time.
George Clooney of golf, he's been described. Which I think is perfect, isn't it? The George Clooney of golf, Fred Couples.
He's very smooth, and you know, I think I agree with Bruce. I think Matt Kuchar's a chance. I don't think it's a huge problem that what happened to him this morning, really. I think he's probably fully focused on at Augusta, and I don't think this morning will deter his confidence at all.
Obviously enjoyed Australia so much last year, Greenie, when he came down here and played the Masters and the World Cup, that he figured it would be better if we had another couple of Australians in the mix at Augusta. So gifted a couple of tournaments, so we get 7 there instead of 5.
You might be right. And maybe even, like, I was thinking Brad Snedeker. I mean, he seems to be a guy that maybe could win at Augusta at some point. He's been in contention a couple of times and faded a little bit on the final day, but he must know that the course, you know, as well as anybody these days, so maybe he'll be around the mark.
All right, tip time, Bruce. Who's going to win? You've told us who could. Who's going to?
Well, you could throw a blanket over a whole lot of them, can't you? But I do believe that Rory McIlroy's got a great chance to add a third major and a third different major to his bow this week. If I had to try and nail it in one, and it's very, very difficult, he'd probably be the guy. But I don't discount Adam Scott's chances of successfully defending.
Greenie?
Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? Look, let's see, Scott. I mean, I think maybe Matt Kuchar. I'm going to go with Matt Kuchar. He's been playing good golf, and good golf at Augusta the last few years. you know, but let's hope Adam Scott wins. Right.
Well, for some of us down here, both good tips. I'm going to go with Phil Mickelson, Bruce, because he's
Well,
done nothing, and
well,
that's
and
just perfect
Rod-
Mickelson.
Yeah.
Right, I don't discount his chances. As I was mentioning earlier on, his record at Augusta National has been quite phenomenal over the past 25 years or so. Probably the best record in many respects. And he put together a pretty good tournament in Houston, considering the fact that he went into there under an injury cloud. Many people were considering that he wasn't even going to play at Houston. So if he's 100% fit, as his performance today over the last few days in Houston suggests he is, then he's got to be some sort of a factor.
Yep, it's going. Whatever happens, Bruce, it's going to be fantastic to watch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's been great to have you along today. Thanks for taking some time.
Pleasure.
And Michael Green, AussieGolf.net. Terrific to have you
Thanks,
aboard as
mate.
well. And that wraps up our special panel discussion from here at Bonnie Doon Golf Club. Hope that you've enjoyed it. More importantly, hope that you enjoy the US Masters this week.